Inside Foos presents the world's #1 foosball podcast, FoosTalk Live.
But no, I can't even believe that I've even been doing this for the last 10 years or 15 years or however long it's been. It's been a wild ride. I'll tell you what. I know. And I'll tell you one thing. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for us to be talking about us.
Yeah,
we don't get to do that too often. So, yeah, count me in.
It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live. Coming to you live from the studios of Inside Foos. It's the 101st episode of FoosTalk Live, brought to you by InsideFoos.com, offering monthly subscriptions with access to some of the most exciting matches ever recorded, plus live tournaments, pre- and post-show analysis, interviews, and original programming. Sign up now at InsideFoos.com. Also brought to you by ProtectoFlex, the world's premier foosball safety accessory. Go to Protecto-Flex.com. Brought to you by Rodlock, practice more, reach less. The best practice tool in foosball. Visit rod-lock.com. Brought to you by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com. Also brought to you by Foosballers, the movie. This Joe Hesslinger foosball documentary is now available as a worldwide download at foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you by the USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member at usafoosball.com. And brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the United States. Visit foosballclubsusa.com and make a donation today. And thank you for your generosity. Well, hey there, it's Tom Robinson. Welcome back to FoosTalk Live. This is episode 101, 101, or 101, whichever way you prefer to say it. But conversation about foosball, of course, is always a whole lot better when you have someone else to share it with, such as the world's greatest play-by-play announcer in the sport of foosball, which would be Jim Stevens. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everybody. 101. That's really something. And, you know, I was reflecting on that, Tom, and I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but, you know, COVID played a big role in us doing this show. And it was 2 years ago this weekend.
2 years.
I remember that the NBA shut down, and that's when we kind of all went, wow, this is real. You know, maybe we have been in a little bit of denial about us, you know, being affected strongly by this. And, of course, 2 years later, here we are. But 101 shows since then. And we got to be proud of it. And of course, anybody who hasn't listened to last week's show should, because it literally was, as Adam said in the opening, all about us.
Oh yeah, it was one of those moments where we just kind of let it fly. So you just never know, spontaneously speaking, where things might come from. Speaking of spontaneous, by the way, of course, we should probably mention that he is the official FoosTalk Live foodie and Zen master of butt smoking. That would be Adam Gilson from Ventura, California. Hello, Adam.
You know, I'm going to get one of those chef's toques and just have that Zen master of butt smoking just embroidered on there. I'm going to see if my mom would embroider it for me.
I
think that's really... Yeah.
I'm
happy with that.
Yeah.
And speaking of 101, good, Adam. Speaking of 101, hey, Tom and Clay, you know what highway runs right through the middle of Ventura, California?
Oh, Ventura Highway
101. Ventura Highway. Should we break into song right here for Tom?
Yes.
Oh, man.
America. One of the greatest bands of all time. Top
well,
three.
I'm sorry, guys, but I have to.
Beatles,
I have
Zeppelin, in America.
Pardon me while I lose dinner here, but no, we do also have to certainly make mention, because he is keeping us on the rails and maintaining the technical existence, the very existence of FoosTalk Live. His name is Clay Toomey. Hello, Clay. Clay, are you with us?
No, Clay forgot to unmute himself, you know.
No, I didn't forget.
You just dropped a couple expletives before you turned on your mic.
Yeah, but y'all can read my lips because we're on video tonight, test driving some things. But yeah, you caught me in the middle of trying to multitask a couple things, and I wasn't ready to have my ass kissed. So thank you
I see. I see.
Bringing me in here.
Well,
it takes getting used to, Clay. It really does. Once you get it enough, you really do get accustomed to it.
Yeah, and then eventually you can. Yeah, then you get into butt smoking.
Yeah,
that's
there
you
the
go.
next step.
That's the next.
So I think what I meant to say was thanks for having me, and I'm glad to be here.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
It's not what it looked like, you said.
I'm terrible.
2 weeks in a row.
Hey, good show tonight. It's going to be fun tonight. We got a really killer top 5, a controversial one, I think, that what players should be in the Hall of Fame that aren't.
Ooh.
Adam suggested next week which players are in the Hall of Fame and shouldn't be. We're going to consider that one. Consider all the ramifications
But
of
it's
that.
just, Mark. It's just Mark doing it though.
Only Mark. Now that I
Mark.
love that
Only
idea.
Okay.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. We've got Scott O'Hare coming on. Hopefully, Don Caesar, Kopi Cam from Moneyball, which is just a week away. Adam, I know you're going to be up there. I wish I could be there. That's certainly one of my favorite tournaments of the year. Can't make it this year. But so we have a great show. We might even get a couple other folks checking in with us tonight.
That would be great. That would be terrific. Yeah, looking forward to all of that. I think that, of course, the other thing that we probably want to talk about here is other upcoming tournaments which are pending, including the World Cup. We'll start to chat about that more and more as time goes by. And of course, Scott O'Hare has been named to the team, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that from him as well. So
to the senior team. Yep, Scott was voted on to the senior team.
And
of course, the other thing, the first major championship of the year coming up here in about 3.5 weeks.
Right.
And that's the Hall of Fame Classic at the Golden Nugget Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. I
Mhm.
want to say that is the 6th through the 10th of April. Always one of the great tournaments of the year. And the interesting thing, there has not been a Hall of Fame Classic in 3 years.
Is it 3?
2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, it was still on the books to take place even after the beginning of COVID,
Mhm.
and then it was canceled about a week and a half before, and there has not been one since 2019. How about that?
Wow. Yeah, it's about time. It's about time. I'm sure that we'll certainly get an earful about that as we get closer and closer. But foosball, it has this unusual habit for me. It always makes me powerfully thirsty.
What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA.
Well, I know, as always, you've probably been searching high and low for the latest, greatest IPA to your collection. What are you adding to the collection tonight, Jim?
It really is. It's something I have not tried before. I have tried beers from this brewery located down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And again, thanks for all the great feedback on this segment, folks. One of the great things, Tom, it occurred to me, one of the great things about this segment, and I know how many of you do love it, is that we have become known as IPA drinkers, which is a huge benefit when we go to tournaments, because folks are always making sure we enjoy some of the local and regional stuff. But I went just south of the border, south of the New Mexican border, which is about 30 miles from here, and then on down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, for the La Cumbre Brewing Company.
La Cumbre.
Vivid Wild. It's a Vivid Wild. I have had their elevated IPA. This is their hazy IPA, because I'm just into the hazies. I just really love the hazies these days. This is the Vivid Wild. Check out the can if you're on watching on video, which only 4 of us are. But it's 7.5%. It is high on the IBU scale as well. It looks good, and let's see if it tastes good.
Looks good, tastes good, smells good. It must be good. What say you?
Oh, that's very good. I have that. I'm putting that at number 4 on my current hazy list.
Oh, number 4. That's a tough list to make, by the way.
Following the Deschutes hazy, the Melvin hazy, and the Stone hazy IPAs.
Well, I dig it. Dig it.
What's up? Who's next?
Adam, what say you?
Well, what I say is that I dropped the ball and I didn't grab an IPA today. I
Uh-oh.
was so busy. I was so busy I was actually smoked a 9-pound brisket and turned it into pastrami today, and spent so much time doing that I didn't get a chance to run to the store to pick one. But I will tell you, my favorite word to describe IPAs is unctuous.
Unctuous. Unctuous. Wow.
I like that. It's right there with
Yep.
dank. That's the other one.
Dank. And yes.
Earthy.
Dank. It's dank and unctuous.
Dank and unctuous. Well, I'll have to break out my thesaurus to top you guys, but we'll see what we can come up with next week. But
is there another word for thesaurus?
I don't know.
Whoa.
Let me think about that.
Bookie, other
Yeah. Well, of course, I have an IPA, but I do have to admit that this is not the first time that I've had something from Founders Brewing Company, Grand Rapids, Michigan. This one is called the Unraveled IPA. And we unraveled some of our favorite American hops to get to the juicy goodness inside. It's Unraveled IPA is incredibly flavorful and aromatic. Wheat and oats form a smooth backdrop to carry all those wonderful hop characteristics, while the pour is beautifully clear.
Did you say wheat and oats?
Wheat and oats, yes. Wheat and let's see how this. I've forgotten because it's been a while since I had a Founders, but let's check the clarity here.
And oats.
Oh, that does pour clear. Yes, indeed. And wheats and oats. I don't know if I can necessarily taste that over the barley, but it's still there for sure. And they claim it in. Yeah. Well, all right. So we have an honor group of the week. We do have to lift a glass. Now, before we do that, of course, Clay, what are you drinking?
Okay, you only said that because you can see me shaking my head in disapproval as you almost skipped over me again.
Hold on.
Plus, the music stopped.
Hold on. No. The music did not stop. Hold on 1 second with that. You know. There you go.
I'm drinking liquid poison. Actual trash for your mouth and your kidneys and everything else, but it apparently has an authentic blend of 23 flavors.
Oh,
it's Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper
in Texas.
Wow.
Do you think, did Dr. Pepper really go to medical school? I don't think so.
I gotta wonder.
No, Jim, and I got bad news about Dr. Seuss too.
No. Don't even start with my childhood.
I think Dr. Pepper is really an acupuncturist. That's probably his specialty. So
I'm not sure Dr. Scholes went to medical school. Go ahead, Tom.
Medical college?
I've done a mezcal school for sure.
You're going to do your vocal warm-up.
I need to do my cranial cerebral warm-ups.
So at least you got the music this time, right?
And I'm sober.
For your Dr. Pepper. So now we do have an honor group of the week. We want to toast, gang, to our honor group of the week, which is Arizona Foosball. Foosball out of Tempe and Scottsdale and, of course, Phoenix. We want to make mention of Boulders Billiards, Dubliner Irish Pub, Bullshooters. They're all great places to play when you go to Arizona. Cheers to Arizona Foosball.
I wonder if they listen to Shooting the Shot down there at Bullshooters.
Yeah, you can only.
That's my neck of the woods, Arizona. I'm literally an hour from Arizona, the corner of it. But have been down there a couple of times to play tournaments with those guys. Great guys, great program.
Nice.
Really enjoy going down there. In fact, I'll be in Arizona next week.
And Jim, who runs the program down there?
Well, there's been several people over the years. I'm not sure who it is now.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm sure we'll hear from them.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Arizona Foosball. Cheers.
Cheers to you guys. Yep.
Wow. 2 belches in one show. How do we do that? Where are the censors?
Well, we're just appealing to our listeners' wishes, which is to make the IPA segment twice as long as usual.
I can run to the store real quick.
What's the real story there? I've heard you kind of make subtle references to that. And I almost feel like there's an undertone, like a meaning that's not being said.
A meaning that's not being said, as in.
I don't know the fancy word for it, Tom. I'm sorry.
Oh, the fancy.
You want me to shout the whispered stuff?
Yeah,
Adam so succinctly put it earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or not. Thanks, Tom.
People love it. People love this segment.
We're
good.
Adore it. Let's put it that way. It is like their favorite. It's the reason they tune in.
And they're a little ticked off tonight that Adam does not have an IPA.
Oh, I'm already getting all the letters and postcards and whatnot.
Or
they're happy that Mark's not here, so it balances.
Right. I was going to say the fact that Mark's not here.
Interesting how that works.
Mark loves this feature, and why he would miss it is beyond me. I have no idea.
No, getting to hear him mispronounce La Croix every week is a treat.
La Croix.
He's hey, come on now. He's sensitive. What can I tell you?
Well, we miss Mark. We do. We love
We
Mark
do
Torres, and we know all of you out there. I get just as many cards and letters about Mark as I do about the IPA.
Is that from the lawyer,
I'm
by the way?
picking up what you're laying down.
Let's move it. Take control, Tom. Take control.
Yeah, Tom.
Get this thing back on track, will you? Jeez. Okay. Well, listen, because the Hall of Fame is coming up, we thought perhaps it might be a good idea to reflect upon the good old days at the Hall of Fame.
With great moments in foosball history, this is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Robert Atha will put the ball back into play. Atha rattles that one up the table. Then it's picked up by his partner, Robertson, who tried to go through the lane. Couldn't connect on the pass. It comes back to Robert Mares. Even at 3 here in the fourth game, 2-1 lead for Spredeman and Mares. As Robbie looking to pass. Robertson with a block this time. Another pass attempt does get through. Clears the zone where it's picked up by Tony, who goes smoothly along that outside wall. Spredeman finds the hole down the middle. It's championship point for Tony Spredeman and Robert Mares. Ball lost here by Robertson. Tony can't connect on the pass after trying to hold on to it. Spun the man over, couldn't retrieve it, and Tony can win it right here. Spredeman looking to win the 2019 Hall of Fame Classic Open Doubles title. Strokes it home, and there it is. Once again, Tony Spredeman and Robert Mares have won the 2019 Hall of Fame Classic Open Doubles title. Great performance this weekend from those two well-dressed gentlemen, Blake Robertson and Robert Atha, but for the second year in a row, they have defeated those two guys in the final to win the championship.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Way back when in 2019. Yep.
Yeah.
Last time it got played.
And yeah, it was. And you heard me talk about Blake and Robert being so well dressed. They actually put on long sleeve button up shirts with collars. I think they were planning on going out on the town afterwards.
Really?
And based on their performance, I think they were in a hurry to do so. But actually, it's kind of their tradition when they play together. They get dressed up in that fashion, and it's really quite classy.
I didn't know that.
But again, 3 years ago, that's the last Hall of Fame Classic. And this is one of the great events in all the world. Such international interest. In fact, for this year's event, I know of at least 10 or 20, maybe 30 European players who are coming in.
Oh, cool.
To compete. So that'll be great. Very popular tournament. It's Las Vegas. The ballroom is beautiful. It's a really great hotel. It's downtown. It's not on the Strip, the Golden Nugget, but it's kind of neat. You walk out on Fremont Street just outside the doors, and it's, even to someone who has been around as much as I have, Fremont Street is like no place I've ever seen. For a variety of reasons. So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be great to get back in Las Vegas, where I think I've spent about 6 months of my life doing foosball tournaments, and I think that's about accurate over the years. And it'll be a lot of fun to attend this event.
So forgive my ignorance, but is the Golden Nugget kind of part of the original heritage of Las Vegas?
Yeah. Originally, Las Vegas was centered downtown, and then they began to go out on the Strip, when the mafia got involved and kind of went out and opened up some of these clubs. But originally, it was downtown Las Vegas, where most of the casinos were early on. And the Golden Nugget is one of the older ones, although it's been refurbished, renovated over the years, and it's actually really, really nice. And so if you haven't booked your trip there yet, folks, you should do so. Going to be a great event, hosted, of course, by Mary Moore and IFP.
Looking forward to it. Big time. Yeah. And of course, we'll have more details and, of course, some live reports from the Golden Nugget the night of the Hall of Fame. Now, when exactly during the weekend does the Hall of Fame ceremony take place?
I believe it's Saturday night. And of course, in 2019, there were 3 new Hall of Famers announced, Tom York, Christina Fuchs, and Charles McIntosh. But actually, this was for 2020. But we haven't had a chance to induct them. So there has not been a new Hall of Famer announced since 2020 because Mary and the Hall of Fame committee wanted to make sure that these 3 deserving individuals got recognized in a formal fashion. They got to get up on stage, thank the people that helped them achieve this lofty goal. And so this year, those 3, Christina Fuchs, Tom York, and Charles McIntosh, will all be officially inducted.
Boy, Charles McIntosh, what a terrific guy. And how many years did he devote to providing equipment and parts for people who play tornado foosball? Just an amazing guy. Met him a couple times.
And even beyond that, Charles, a promoter of the North Carolina State event, which was the longest running tournament in the United States for quite a long while. Also an excellent player, a former world championship finalist in doubles, an outstanding referee. So Charles, a guy that really has done it all. Of course, Christina Fuchs, great goalie, Had the pleasure of kind of training her early.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Okay.
Tom Yore, a friend of the program, and of course, one of our best friends. Tom has done so much in the world of foosball. So 3 highly deserving individuals.
Yeah, looking forward to all of that. Looking forward to getting back to business when it comes to the Hall of Fame Classic coming up.
The first major of the year. How about that? A major championship. And it is a major. There should be 400 to 500 players. All the big players will be there. It should be a great, great event, as
Awesome.
it always is.
Yeah. Well, of course, in honor of the pending Hall of Fame Classic, tonight's top 5 revolves around that. Now, if you would like to explain exactly what is the top 5 this evening, how does it apply to the Hall of Fame?
I'll take this one. It's it's again something that I think hopefully is going to open discussion, maybe a little argument, maybe a little discontent. What 5 players, top 5 players? I had difficulty narrowing it down to 5. I've got to tell you, what 5 deserving players should be in the Hall of Fame, but are not. And of course, they have to be eligible. So players like Ryan Moore, Tony Spredeman, Billy Pappas, no brainers. Once they become eligible, meaning once they turn 40, they will go into the Hall of Fame. No question about that. But we're talking about players who are eligible to be in, but aren't.
Huh. Well, I'm intrigued. So shall we begin?
Let's do it.
Time once again for the FoosTalk Live Top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number.
So, I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling waxing sentimental here for my number 5, or maybe I'm just thinking about the Pacific Northwest. And I've been thinking about promoters and the importance that they have, because, of course, promoters can get in to the Hall of Fame. But I was thinking one of the number 1 names you think of when you think of promoters from the Pacific Northwest, of course, is Lee Peppard, who's already in the Hall of Fame. But there's another player promoter from that era, from the 70s, that had a huge route, had a big promotional route at the time, lots of tables, upwards to a couple hundred, pardon me, at the height, him and his brother. But the main guy, Ken Treblehorn, out of Pacific Northwest, for me, because of the impact that he had in all the places that he was with his tables and the promotions that he did during that time period, set off players after players after players after that. So we're just talking about not just what he did at the time, but the legacy that came afterwards. He's already in the Pacific Northwest Hall of Legends, but maybe he's an outlier here. But I think he's looking at the finer details of what promoters do and how what they do echoes forward can be, in my mind, more impactful than any individual player, is for me why I put him at number 5, Ken Treblehorn.
No, that's great. And of course, I know the name and I know the era, and I know what happened up there in the Pacific Northwest. And if he was involved with that, in developing that, certainly. And you said he had hundreds of tables. So that's prominent. Obviously, really involved with the early days of the tournament soccer tour. So good choice there. Didn't occur to me. But certainly, these are some of the names maybe that have been forgotten and need to be remembered. I want to make sure tonight that after the top 5, Tom, I want to make sure that we also do an honorable mention.
Okay.
Because I had a lot of trouble with, because I narrowed it down to 6. And there are others that I want to mention. But one of them I have at 5A, and I guess I'm going to put him in honorable mention.
5A.
But I'm going to make sure that I do address him. All right. My number 5. But what if I told you guys that there is a player not in the Hall of Fame who is in the top 5 all time in the United States among on the American tour in World Championships won, Open World Championships won, top 5 all time, second all time among the ladies, and she's not in the Hall of Fame. What if I told you that? Would you believe me?
Wow.
Because I can just go to 5A if you don't.
Well, did they end up in our top 50 countdown?
Not in the top 50.
No.
And I probably would not have put her in the top 50. In fact, I didn't. But yet 10 world championships, right? Joyce Stewart out of Louisiana, out of Mississippi.
Yeah.
10 world championships. She won three in a row with Moya Thielens, 3 women's doubles championships in a row, 03, 04, and 05 with Moya Thielens. She won 5 mixed doubles world championships with Frederic Collignon. And then in the early 2010s, she won 2 in a row, 2 women's doubles world championships on Tornado with a player out of North Carolina named Jan Maynard, who you win 2 in a row, and Maynard was the forward. Joy Stewart was a goalie. Never played forward, never played singles. She was a goalie. She played goalie for, obviously, Moya, a top 30 all-time player, Fred, a top 1 all-time player, and Jan Maynard, who was a heck of a forward and had a little run there of about 2 or 3 years where she may have been the best lady player on tour. But say what you will, and the reason she isn't in the Hall of Fame is because perhaps people look at it and say, look who she played with. She was only a goalie, no singles, no forwards, no other titles beyond women's doubles and mixed doubles. But still, 10 world championships is 10 world championships.
Right.
My number 5, Joy Stewart.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 4.
My top 5 lists tonight are going to be some outliers, some deep cuts, and some maybe outside the box stuff, and maybe some controversy.
Deep cuts?
I love that.
Yeah, but number 4 is not. Number 4 is somebody that needs to be on there. Just if you look at they're in our top 50 list. They're not in the Hall of Fame. They won off the top of my head, 3 world titles, maybe. Some back to back. I can't remember. I don't have that right in front of me here, but that doesn't matter. But I think that, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I get the sense that there is some bias towards the 80s players, which is fine. You can make the argument for and against easily enough. But for me, winning is winning. And somebody that won a whole heck of a lot at that time was Gus Trevino. And we've talked about him. We talked about him in our top 50 countdown. For me, this is somebody that should be in the Hall of Fame, is a no-brainer. So for me, number 4, Gus Trevino.
Yeah, I'll get to Gus a little later, but again, and we'll detail a little more. But no question, Gus deserves to be on this list. My number 4 is another player who is a little bit overlooked. This is a woman, again, a lady player, who I anticipate will get in the Hall of Fame, and she should. For the past 20 plus years, Stacey Fowler out of Iowa has been one of the best lady players on tour. Stacey Fowler won the women's singles world championship on Tornado in 2005. She beat Cindy Head in the final. Cindy Head in her prime. Moya Thielens was in that event as well. Moya won doubles that weekend. But it was Stacey who came out on top in singles. Stacey and her partner Shelley Langley finally broke through in 2016 with a women's doubles world championship as well. Stacey, a gold medalist with the 2019 women's USA team. Also, back in 2007 at the ITSF Multi-Table World Championships, she finished second in women's singles. This is a player who has been consistent, several Hall of Fame Classic titles, several national titles as well, but kind of gets overlooked, and underappreciated. And she's quiet. She just goes about her business. But if you've ever watched her play, really strong 5, really strong 3, great teammate, solid player. If you look at her record, you look at her resume, Stacey Fowler is a no-brainer, in my opinion, for the Hall of Fame. And hopefully next year, some of the players we're talking about tonight and maybe illuminating these names is important for next year's Hall of Fame voting. But coming in at number 4 for me, another player that needs to be in the Hall of Fame and isn't, and will be, I hope, out of Iowa, Stacey Fowler.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 3.
So I don't even know where to go, how to even set this one up. Like you have well, I know. Let's talk about the Thunderdome. Let's talk about Thunderdome. So Thunderdome happened a couple weeks ago to much fanfare, and it was, I think, a resounding success, primarily because of the format. I mean, it was a players tournament, but the format was so different for what American players are used to. This is common in Europe, but for what American players are used to. Now, I think that even happens. That doesn't happen if it's not used just a little bit to some success here in the United States. But more so, that doesn't even really happen in these tournaments here in the United States unless you go and you make your own foosball table and then promote it and then start making tournaments that have that format, the Swiss format, in it. Now, I don't pretend to understand the politics or the machinations or any of that kind of stuff about how any of this stuff works. It doesn't, that doesn't matter to me. or the people behind it. What really matters to me is the impact, because Hall of Fame status should be impact. And if there's anybody that's had a lot of impact in the last 22 years in foosball, it's Brendan Flaherty. We could go into a deep dive in all the different things that he's done and the things you disagree with and agree with, and that's fine. Like, again, you could maybe say that for a lot of the players in the Hall of Fame. But it's a can of worms, to be sure. But based on just what I know and my experience and the impact that he has had and what he has done in his time frame playing foosball, I got to put him in there. I got to think of him as a serious contender to be in the Hall of Fame. Brendan Flaherty.
Yeah, I talked about my honorable mention. He's absolutely on there. This is a guy who has had huge impact on the sport. And not, as a player, he was 1979 World Novice Doubles champion. He and his partner Dennis Vasquez actually won $5,000 each, which was the biggest non-pro event before Thunderdome.
Wow!
But this is a guy that really has been so dynamic in his approach and different. He wanted to do things differently. Built a table, made a table, put out a tour, and boy, was it fun. Warrior events, yep. I miss them. Boy, were they fun. Yep. Always. I was doing 2 or 3 of those a year, and I always looked forward to it just because it was fun. And you got great competition as well. But no question, Brendan Flaherty, he was on my ballot. He was on my ballot a couple of different times and did not get in yet, but hopefully he will because he deserves it. My number 3 is a friend of the program. We've had him on before. I get messages from him almost after every show, or at least some of the shows. He's probably listening tonight. It's a guy that, there's that famous picture of the Arapahoe Sport Center team, right? Where you've got all those players lined up back in Denver in 1979, 1980. And there's Mike Bowers and there's Todd Lafredo. And Tom Spear is in there, Hall of Famers. And this guy needs to be in there as well. He made our top 50. He finished number 41 on our number 40 on our top 50 list without being in the Hall of Fame. Yet when you look at a record, you look at his resume, you go, boy, he needs to be on there. This is a guy who built an impressive resume in the 70s and 80s. Bob Maloney, second in open doubles at the World Championship West in 1980. And this was a big tournament up in Portland, lost in the final to Dan Kaiser and Rick Martin when they played East versus West. The very last TS tournament, right? Johnny Horton won open singles, young man, 20 years old, 19 years old, whatever he was. Bob Maloney finished second to Johnny Horton in singles in that event. He was third in open singles at the 82 World Championships, finishing only behind Spear and Lafredo, 2 top 10 all-time players. 1984, goalie of the year and sportsman of the year. Finally got his world championship playing with Todd Lafredo in 1987. And we talked about this in the top 50. I talked about how he played with Lafredo, and he wrote me afterwards, and he said, I want to make sure you know that I played forward for Lafredo in that. Lafredo, that was the year they had Dynamo Open Doubles and Tornado Open Doubles at the World Championships in Dallas. And Lafredo didn't want to hurt his arm, didn't want to tire out his arm for the Tornado event, where I think he was playing with Steve Murray. He wanted to play forward there. So Maloney played a lot of forward on their way to that championship in 1987. A guy that continued onto the Tornado Tour, had some top finishes on that as well before retiring in 1994. But a guy this is one of those players, when I was looking at the top 50, when we were doing this project, when I was doing a deep dive into these resumes and these bios, this is a guy that I came out of it even more impressed with. And to me, Bob Maloney at number 3, Bob Maloney needs to be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm confident he will be. Might take a couple years, but I'm confident he'll get in there. And we did induct him into the Colorado State Hall of Fame this past year, or a couple of years ago. A class act on and off the table. Number 3 for me, Bob Maloney.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 2.
Yeah, Jim, that was great. Thank you. Maloney was my 5A, so I'm glad that you brought him up. So my number 2 is so most of you maybe have worked in an office setting, or most of you have worked in any kind of situation where there's always the person that's dealing with the details, that's dealing with everything behind the scenes.
Like Clay Toomey, you mean?
Yeah. Like Clay Toomey, like Tom Robinson, like everybody that you see at these the foosball tournaments doing behind the scenes stuff, the administrative stuff, the thankless crap that nobody ever wants to do. Those are the people that make things work, right? But But the bigger thing that goes on beyond that is that when they're not there, their absence is noticeable. When they're sick for that day, sick for that week or whatever, right? But when you think about just that day when they weren't there, and then you think about the 5 years, 6 years, 7 years that they were there doing what they do, they become an indispensable part of the nature of something that you love. And it's almost impossible to describe what would have happened beyond that with them not being there. And I say this because there's this person, when I was doing research for the top 50, and I was asking questions about trying to figure out this and that and the other thing for the players from the 70s. There was one name that kept coming up, and she wasn't a player. She played, but she wasn't a player promoter. She was somebody that provided she was the all the moving parts. Everything that happened behind the scenes in tournament soccer rested upon her shoulders. She is Faye McWilliams, and she is somebody that when you do well and do great and do it consistently and do it with impact, people sometimes don't even know that you even existed at all. But I gotta put this out there that Faye McWilliams is somebody that was so integral to the success of tournament soccer that it's somebody that should be considered in these realms of the Hall of Fame, because she's indispensable. She was indispensable for tournament soccer. So for me, number 2, Faye McWilliams.
And you're not the first person to mention that. And again, she was someone who was behind the scenes, but also a very good player as well.
Mm-hmm.
Had some top finishes in mixed doubles in particular, and women's doubles as well. Second at the 1975 World Championships in women's doubles. So an outstanding player. But I've also heard that there's been a few people from that era who have dropped that name as someone they think is deserving of it. So Adam, again, Adam always astounds us with his knowledge of that era. Of course, he was born to a TS family, so he has that advantage, but also a guy that does his research. So I think that's a great name for sure. My number 2, it's one you had earlier. It's Gus Trevino. Again, when you look at what Gus did, 3 world championships in 4 years. He won 2 of them with Tom Spear. He won 1 of them with Todd Lafredo. But you win 3 world titles, 3 open doubles world championships in what has been called the second golden era of the sport, late 80s, early 90s on the Tornado Tour. When you do that, you got to look closely at that, right? Mark has talked about Gus over the years, over the last 100 shows, about how Gus never really hit the ball real hard, wasn't a huge offensive threat back there. Defensively, it was very cerebral, kind of a Bobby Diaz style before Bobby Diaz. And it's a guy, that again won 3 in 4 years, 8 open titles during a 5-season span, open major titles. Those are majors during a 5-season span from 89 through 93. And then after 94, he retired. That was it. But a guy that was impactful, as Adam said earlier, you've got to have an impact. He kind of set the trend for that kind of goalie. And again, when you look at the career record, yeah, he did it with Spear and Lafredo, 2 top 7 all-time players, but still, maybe they don't win those without him. So for me, number 2, a no-brainer, someone who has to go in as soon as next year, perhaps, out of Colorado, Gus Trevino.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents the Top 5. Number 1.
For my number 1, I'm reminded of a quote. Maybe I've been really reflective lately. I don't know, but it's from a movie called Gladiator. You probably maybe like it, don't like it, but he
Gladiator.
Said, what we do in life echoes in eternity, and that's something that we often think about when we talk about politicians or sports figures or the people that are up high up on the pedestal, and all of us look back at them and go like, that'd be cool. I wish I could do stuff like that, right? But very rarely in most, I think, areas in our lives do we have a situation where we go and outside of funerals where we can go and commiserate with large groups of other people that are involved in things that we actually care about. And to do so to create something like that from the standpoint of a player, but also as somebody who's a promoter, who's giving people that kind of space to do that, knowingly or unknowingly, is something that I think is one of the greatest things that I've ever seen in foosball. And unfortunately, in my entire 22, 23-year career playing foosball, last year was the first time I ever made it to a Bart O. And I have never experienced anything like that. I've had a lot of fun. Thunderdome was fun. Monday, like all these regional tournaments, everything I go do is it's always wall to wall fun. But Bart O is something completely and utterly different to me. More so because, and I've been to tournaments before where you honor the other players, maybe, the getting into the Hall of Fame and stuff. But I was shocked at the Bart O to see 70, 80, 90% of the players that were there in the room were stayed in the room when the moment came and we started honoring those who are echoing in eternity for us. And I got to say, the person that brought this together in honor of a friend, Joe Kuntz, who we recently lost, has got to be my number one for admittance into the Hall of Fame because of that legacy that he's created and because of that space that he's created, not just for the state or for the region, but the entire country and beyond. My number one, Joe Kuntz.
Wow. That's great, Adam. Yeah, that was beautiful. And of course, Joe and I had a great relationship. I worked 11 Bart O'Hearn celebrations with him. I had the honor of really knowing him quite well. Obviously witnessed the impact of his efforts up close and personal. And you're right. I mean, that tournament, that Bart O'Hearn has turned into something. I'm not sure Joe ever saw that coming. I think he was just trying to honor his friend, throw a little down-home tournament there in Austin. And it became so much more than that. It really has. It's grown into this thing, this wonderful thing that, as you said, and I don't know if it was 80 or 90, I think it was 99% of the players stayed for that ceremony. And of course, I've become such a part of that. I usually host that ceremony, and it's always so. And you were there. You got to see it, Adam.
Yeah.
You saw where I was with that, right?
Yeah.
Here we are commentating matches,
crying.
having fun, commentating matches, and then we know this is coming and how difficult it can be, how wonderful it can be. I think that's a great choice. And Joe, I agree. Joe deserves certainly to be in the Hall of Fame. And so that's something, and I think he just earned my vote on the next ballot. For me, I looked at it from more of a player's point of view, and which player deserved it the most. And unequivocally, there's one guy who finished number 31 on our top 50 list who is not in the Hall of Fame, and that's Scotty Weidman. When you look at it, at what he's done, and maybe the reason he isn't in is the way he was viewed in other areas of his life, perhaps. Take that for what it's worth. But when you look at what he did on the table, he should have been in the day he retired or the day he turned 40. He won major titles as both a forward and goalie. Started off his career as a very young man, finishing second in 1991 in open doubles with Tom Spear at the World Championships. And then he teamed up with Todd Lafredo to become the first team in the history of American foosball, of the American Foosball Tour, to go back-to-back in 94 and 95. He and Todd Lafredo also won the 95 Nationals without losing a game. Did not lose a single game at the 95 Nationals up in San Francisco. And he actually won 3 of the 5 majors that year. He won 3 majors out of the 5 major championships in 1995. Rob Morris won Masters Open doubles that year. Second in open singles at the Worlds to Tommy Atkinson in 97. He won playing forward with Mike Bowers, at that time the oldest player to ever win a championship, in 1998 at the Masters. 1999, he and Robbie Morris finished second to Lafredo and Collignon as they won their second world championship together. And then all these years later, 2016 comes around. Cameras are rolling. The movie Foosballers is being recorded there in Lexington. And he plays forward for Todd Lafredo in open doubles, and they finished second. Because Todd hurts his arm. Scotty had to get up there, hasn't played in 12 years, and is able to finish second at the World Championships. Incredibly versatile player. And again, when you look at the record, you wonder, how in the heck is this guy not in there? And maybe it's just because of the limitations to the numbers of players that can be inducted each year. But for me, unquestionably, next year in Las Vegas, Scotty Weidman needs to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that's my number one. And I do want to mention a couple of honorable mentions as well. this is a guy, and it's a guy that always gets forgotten about in everything. I forget about him in what he's done when we're talking about the best players on tour. We forget about him. Brandon Moreland is 41 years old. Brandon Moreland has won 8 Texas State Open Doubles championships.
Wow.
Won a world championship with Tommy Yorr in 2019. Has been a consistent player when he has played. He took a lot of time off, but even then, when he would play at Texas State, he would still finish well. For me, Brandon Moreland, obviously a no-brainer. And I guess the other thing, too, is he's sort of, after taking some time off, he's kind of back into the prime of his career. We now look at him as a top 4 player on tour. I mean, you've got Moore, you've got Spredeman, you got Robertson, and Moreland, and maybe Lafredo on the outside of that just a little bit. But Brandon Moreland, a top 3 or 4 player on tour right now, and a guy that has a world championship finals appearance in singles. So for me, he was my 5A, Moreland. But again, we don't think of him. We forget about him. How is that? And Clay, you know him well. How do we forget about Brandon Moreland so often? I guess it's just the understated way that he goes about his business. Clay, again, you know him. You know his record. And you know him well. Of course, he lives in your area. Brandon Moreland, what do you think?
He's incredible. I've said multiple times he's the only person I won't bet if Tony's playing him. Like pretty much anybody else in the game, I'm putting my money on Tony. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying I will bet on Brandon against Tony. Yeah. I have won money betting on Brandon against Tony, but that's another story. Brandon is just like, he's like a mellow dude. He's not like loud and boisterous and in your face, and like he quietly destroys everybody. He does. And he does it in a way that's very like it's not soft spoken, but it's just very normal looking until you face him from across the table, and it's like, I don't know how to beat him. I just don't. And he's very smart. He's he holds his emotions well. And he's not afraid to do like a lot of stuff that would be hard for us. And it's very simple for him, but he's a beast, man. There's no like doubt in my mind that he can hang with literally anybody in the world.
Anybody in the world. I agree. And a forward, goalie, singles, doubles, doesn't matter. A couple other honorable mentions for me. Another guy that made our top 50 that we have to look at, a guy that won a world championship, a guy that won major championships with Terry Moore back when Terry was revolutionizing the sport. That's Eddie Gartman. One of the best goalies of his era, a world champion goalie with Adrian Zamora in 2003. You can't overlook him. Daniel Smith, who played with John Smith, won a couple of world titles. And again, he was playing with John, so we tend to overlook him. But that's one of the names I hear, especially when I go to Texas. They also say, hey, Jim, why ain't Daniel Smith in the Hall of Fame? And they pretty much say it just like that.
Nice dialect.
So Daniel Smith, another one. Brendan Flaherty, of course, on there, and Jan Maynard, who won back-to-back world championships. And there are a few others maybe that we have forgotten. I love the Joe Kuhns selection, Adam. I just think
brilliant.
I think that's beautiful. His impact on the sport here in the United States has been huge. And will continue to be forever, right? It's going to, as long as that tournament is held. You almost want to rename that, right, to the Joe Kuhns celebration. But Joe would not have it that way. He would not want it that way. He'd want his friend Bart to still be the focal point. And so we miss Joe greatly. Wonderful choice, Adam, and really a fun one. So next week, folks, tune in. The 5 players who are in the Hall of Fame and shouldn't be. Starring
Mark will be hosting himself.
Yes, all by himself.
That's actually the real reason he's not here tonight. Is he thought that list was tonight. And then he just didn't want to. So, nice try, Mark. See you next.
Seriously on that list, it'd be. I don't think I'm not yet maybe willing to go public with my thoughts on that.
Okay.
Can I do a top?
But it would not be that hard.
I'll do
it would not be hard to come up with a top 5.
I'll just do a top 20. I don't care. I'll do one from each year.
Adam, you and I can take next week off. It's Mark and Clay with the top 5.
Hey, if you want to, everybody loves a nice. People don't watch Daytona for the cars to not crash.
Yeah, right.
I'm down.
This is a principle I'm not sure we're going to be adopting right away for FoosTalk Live, but thank you. I appreciate that sentiment.
I think you adopted that when you got Mark on here.
Right.
Fair. Yeah.
No, I have a future, I think a future idea. I think John O'Brien of Foosball Clubs USA should make it to the Hall of Fame.
Yep, for sure.
In the near future.
Agreed.
Yes.
You
Darn
know?
it.
Yep. And
agreed. You know, and maybe, you know, maybe John has only been around for what, 4 or 5 years, and so people
Right.
don't tend to think of it that way. But I think he's already accomplished enough to
Right.
certainly
Oh,
deserve
Because
strong
I was-
consideration.
no question.
I was looking at the rules, and it's like 10 or 15 years after the impact for promoter.
Mhm.
But I mean, the impact is so.
Mhm.
We saw the impact at Nationals last year.
Right.
Yeah. You know what the thing
Yeah.
is, though, they almost put anybody in this Hall of Fame. I mean, I finished third at the 1982 U.S. Open in open doubles, and they put me in the Hall of Fame. It's crazy.
Well,
Of
I mean,
that?
you have other virtues, though, Jim. We haven't
Crazy,
even found
isn't it?
out what those
So
are
I'm
yet.
number
Other
one next
things.
week. Number one next week.
Is there a category for statisticians?
I would hope
in the Hall
so.
of Fame?
Well,
I don't think
there's
it
a
needs to.
category for country folk singers, so there's got to be one for statisticians.
I think that's
Wait,
a
wait.
fair
Love you,
point.
Gary
That's a-
Pollak.
Hold on a
That's fair.
second.
That's fair.
Clarify country folk singer, by the way. Country folk.
Gary Pollak.
Country folk foosball singers. Yes.
There you
Yeah,
go.
thank you.
I know who
It's a-
Adam has
it's a
on his
niche.
list next week.
It's a niche. No,
without
I
saying.
got the album.
I don't know that I'd have him at number one, though.
Right.
Wouldn't have him.
He might be. He won't be 5A.
He won't be 5A. That's a hashtag. Make it trend, Clay. I
Oh,
won't be 5A.
I have to remember
Won't
that
be
5A.
And then
thing.
do that little snap thing.
Bam.
Won't be 5A. And the A stands for kiss my ass if you don't agree.
Oh.
Wow. Hey, Tom, we don't
Yeah,
have anybody
sorry.
waiting in the
I'm
wings.
sorry.
do we?
No, I know we
No,
do have to
we're
get
gonna
this
have to
thing
take
back
it-
on
Thanks,
the
folks.
rails.
Thanks for
Got it.
joining us tonight.
That's a wrap. Thank you. Good night.
There's your Hall of Fame top 5. Yeah, we're looking forward to lots of tournaments in the near future, but also we are glancing backwards slightly because there's been some great competitions we really haven't had a chance to discuss. One of which was last weekend in Costa Rica, which is, from what I understand, one of the most desirable places to be on the planet, whether it's foosball or not. Just going there, a lot of expats, a lot of folks who retire go to Costa Rica because of just an incredible environment. But we do want to acknowledge the fact that there was quite a few folks there last week playing. Tony Spredeman, Blake Robertson, also Billy Pappas made it there last weekend. And the pictures I've seen online just look amazing. And also,
yeah, and of course the Costa Ricans, of course, Brandon Munoz and Kevin
yes,
Carlos Cespedes Martinez. They have such a strong program down there. We've talked about it before. We
Mhm.
just picture them, all these guys playing all night in a steamy garage, no air conditioning, down there in Costa Rica, with the sound of howler monkeys in the background. But it's what a great culture they have down there.
Oh yeah.
Would have loved to have gone, but as soon as they told me there was a beach, a rainforest, great beer and great seafood, I said, nah, that doesn't sound like it's for me.
Yeah, right, Jim. I know. Well, while the rest of us were crying in our beers here in the great North, those who are there enjoying themselves and celebrating includes a gentleman who's among that elite group from the foosball crew, those foosball crew people from Florida. Who are all very well known in their own right. This individual who's joining us this evening is one of that crew from Florida. Not only is he a great foosball player, but he's also a law enforcement officer and runs a great restaurant. We want to welcome to FoosTalk Live for the very first time, Scott O'Hare. Hello, Scott.
Hey guys, Tom, Jim, Clay, Adam. How are you guys doing?
What's
Hey,
happening?
Scott, I feel like we should have the theme from Cops of Bad Boys playing right now. Yeah, no, hey, Scott, great to hear your voice. And of course, I've always been a big Scott O'Hare fan. This is a guy who really, because he was a police officer for many years, didn't necessarily have all the time to dedicate to foosball, but still was a heck of a player. Big, booming pull shot, solid 5-row. And then, of course, over the last year or so, you've really proved what a good goalie you are as well, as you and Tony Spredeman won the Bart O'Hearn Celebration Doubles Championship last year. Great to have you on the show, Scott. And this is a guy, Tom and Adam and Clay, coming out of that Tampa area, but a guy that holds his own, and maybe the veteran of the bunch, you and Tom York, but a guy that still gets it done, and that's got to be a lot of fun competing against those guys on a regular basis, Scott.
It is. I came into foosball with the legendary Tom York, Mike Green, Carl Miller. And I watched the era of talent to come through Tampa. That we had I was fortunate to watch Bobby Diaz grow into arguably the best goalie in the world. Uh, and now we have Tony Spredeman here. We have Blake Robertson, and Billy Pappas has been blessing us with his presence for the past couple of years. So yeah, it's I've been fortunate with the foosball realm here, the talent that I got to play with.
Mm. Well, Scott, I got to ask you the question. The traditional question we always ask our guests when they first appear on FoosTalk Live is, when was the first time you saw a foosball table, and what kind was it, and did you play on it?
I would say a game room. Back in the day when we used to have game rooms, it was an old dynamo.
Okay.
But it wasn't very long. I mean, the tornado came, started appearing. I think my first tournament ever was 1990 Florida State Championships.
Okay. Okay.
I competed as a rookie, and that's where I watched, the Johnny Horton, Tom Yours, Bobby Diaz, and the of course Mike Green and the Carl Millers.
Right.
Those guys were. I mean, right there when I watched what those guys can do on a foosball table, I was immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, were you playing in a DYP at all in those days?
No, I played in a rookie. I went into that not knowing anything. I was.
Wow.
We have a town here called Treasure Island Fun Center and Madeira Beach Fun Center, and those guys, there wasn't much tournament play. It was just game room play.
Mm-hmm.
And when I found out that there was a state tournament, I was like, wow, that's for me. So no, I went in there shooting the old fashioned back pin shot. I didn't even know what a pull shot was or a push.
Wow.
So yeah, these guys totally blew my mind away.
And was there someone in that crew that took you under their wing or gave you any advice or tips?
Yeah, that would probably be Johnny Horton.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Johnny and I we got close there for a little bit. I've kind of mirrored his. I tried to his Tic Tac series on a 5, and back then I remember we didn't have the rollover. We didn't have that snake shot.
Right.
Everything was push kicks, pulls, and pushes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Johnny Horton was amazing. He was fast. He was energetic. He was amusing on that foosball table. So of course,
Yeah.
me being a rookie, I wanted to play like Johnny.
Yeah. Though that's something to aspire to, no doubt about it. And so, tell us about Costa Rica. What happened there?
Costa Rica, like you guys were talking about, everybody wants to check it off their bucket list to go to visit. And when I found out that there was a tournament there, I looked at it like this is a perfect opportunity to go enjoy Costa Rica, see what people were talking about, and also play a little foosball.
Mm-hmm.
So Blake Robertson lives 15-20 minutes from me. We hang out off and on the table all the time, and I just talk to him and say, Blake, what do you feel like? How do you feel like we're going to Costa Rica? And Blake's famous saying is, "Let's go!" Let's do it. I was, there you have it. So we planned on going, and I was shocked to hear that there were quite a few American players that were going.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys know, Billy's been staying here in Florida for off and on for the past couple of years.
Yes.
And Billy at the last minute decided to go too. In fact, Billy's still there. He had such a good time that he loves it down there. Billy's still there. So he's probably going to stay there for another 2-3 weeks.
He may never come back. He
right?
may never come back. Right?
He may come back speaking Spanish. You never know.
Wow.
It's so great to hear that he's back on the table, though. I mean, after, I guess it was Thunderdome that he started to realize, you know what, maybe I'll get back into this thing.
We try to have fun. We'll play 1 or 2 games a day. Billy's been staying with me the past 2 years. We'll play a little bit, but I tell you, it's not serious. We just have fun on a table.
Sure.
I don't know if Billy's going to continue to play at a high intensity level. I think he's now looking at it like, I just want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, he did. He reached a level to where, I mean, he still performs shots at home at the house here that I can't believe he does. You know,
Well,
he sees
let me
things that
ask you this. Let me ask you this, Scott. I know Adam's got some questions for you as well, but what if there was an event that was big money, you know, maybe 10 grand, 20 grand for first place, maybe a Thunderdome style open event or a master event? Do you think Billy would get fired up from that? Do you think we could see Billy's A game? Do you think it's something he would focus on and maybe more than just have fun at?
I think so. I think so, Jim. 100%. Yeah, I think so. Obviously, money drives a lot of people. But yeah, I could see Billy getting back into it if the payouts were, were, I guess in his eyes, worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Scott, it's Adam. I'm trying to catch up here. I'm confused because I heard that you're retired, and you used to play with Johnny Horton back in the day. But I look at you play foosball, and you are probably, I think, 24 to me in my mind. Is that? Am I just completely time lost? What happened here?
He plays like it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, I quit I don't want to say I took a hiatus when I first became a police. Back in '96, I kind of stopped playing for a while. And then 2011, I just kind of got the bug again, and I just started playing. Todd and I, we always stayed friends. We had a mutual friend, the late Casey Pruitt. Jim, you probably remember Casey.
Sure, of course.
I met Todd through Casey. So, yeah, so I just kind of got back into it. I got the itch again.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have to ask you a question, and I deeply apologize to ask you this because I know you probably get asked this all the time once people find out that you're a cop. But I got to ask it. Have you been on Cops?
Yes, I was on Cops on a couple of episodes.
No kidding.
Oh, could you
have something in common? I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, in 1998, I was working for an agency down in South Florida called Riviera Beach, and it was 1998 is when the episode was. There's 2 episodes that I'm primarily on.
Wow.
One was a high-speed chase on a stolen vehicle, and the other one was a drug reverse. I was working plain clothes, and I was part of the tactical takedown unit.
Cool.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That may be the best question anyone's asked in the entire 101 shows of FoosTalk Live. Well done, Adam.
Thank you.
Nailed it. Yeah. But talk a little bit, obviously you didn't get a chance to play. You played some. Of course, we've seen you play since 2011 and play at a very, very high level. But, what are some of the similarities maybe with being a police officer and the things you have to go through, the pressure that is involved with that, and then dealing with pressure, in big matches in foosball? Kind of relate the two if you could.
No, I think it helps definitely. I mean, I've witnessed and I've experienced and have had to deal with some of the most stressful situations that I don't think the average person has ever experienced, nor will they ever. So yeah, I definitely think it's helped in a tight match, especially a 4-4 match or something like that. And I don't know if you remember, like when Billy, when he was playing in the World Series of Poker, they interviewed him about, they called it the grind.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys do it? And he related the grind to foosball. So it was nothing to him compared to what foosball, the grind when it came to foosball. And I think, that's the same thing with me, but I'll use police work, being a street cop, as far as dealing with pressure and using that, my experience of that. You're talking some of it was life and death situations, helped me through the stressful situations on the table.
That makes a lot of sense.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Now, one other question. I know Tom's got more, and maybe even Clay wants to pipe in here. But you've been a forward. You're basically a forward. You've had great success as a singles player and as a forward during the course of your career. And then last year in Austin, we had a chance to watch you play goalie for Tony Spredeman. I mean, what a thrill that must have been for you to compete in an open event with Tony, right? But you played great back there. You played like a pro goalie. You played like a master goalie back there. That's how good you were. Obviously, you can shoot the ball. We know you can shoot the ball. You can shoot that pull shot in your sleep up until maybe Sunday when that arm starts to hurt, right? But talk a little bit about adapting, basically, your game, a forward game, getting back there and playing goalie in big matches and coming through in big matches and doing it at a very high level. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, like I said, Jim, I had no problem shooting or clearing from the back. But Tony walked me through a lot. The rollover, that's still new to me. And I've never been a really good defender of the rollover. So I kind of, I got to, thank Tony for pulling me aside and showing me some the rollover defense. And he's been playing against these guys for a long time. And he studies, he knows their shots, he knows their tendencies. So before every match, he would tell me, hey, this is what he likes to do. And if we just play the odds, I mean, that's pretty much it, and leave the rest up to Tony. The guy, all I got to do is clear the ball for Tony. Send him a pass here and there. So I just think these guys they're at a whole nother level than I am, and I don't know if I'd ever get to that. So I'm just a listener. I'm a student, and I just try to practice what they tell me to do. And like you said, Jim, I played most of my career as a forward, and I'm trying to transition into a goalie because, I mean, hell, I'm 51 years old and shooting that bull shot for so many years. I'm kind of getting tired. And when these high power forwards, Tony, Blake, Tommy Jr., I mean, these guys, it makes it's actually fun to watch, sit back and watch what they could do up there. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now, quick follow-up question. And again, what a benefit it is for you to play in an area that may be the strongest that we have ever seen anywhere. You could maybe reflect back on the Twin Cities of the late 70s when you had Wiz and Fur and Bells and Bednar and Ken Allwell, people like that. But right now, Tampa, Florida, it's just unbelievable in the level of quality. But do you look at yourself right now as a goalie at this stage of your career? You say you're 51. Must be nice to be able to retire at 49. But do you view yourself as a goalie these days?
I do. I'd like to see myself transition as a goalie. I think with a strong forward, I think anything is possible. I see what some of the goalies out there I've played against, and I think with time and a lot more practice and a lot more experience back there, I think I could do very well.
Very cool. So, Scott, since you've played with some of the best in the world when it comes to partners, is there anyone you can think of, alive or no longer living, that you would really like to play with before it's all over with? Anybody that you can name off the top of your head?
God, playing with Tony was an amazing tournament. I mean, just obviously that was the highlight of my career. But like when I talked about when I first got into foosball, I was in awe over Johnny Horton. So gosh, if I could turn back time and play with anybody, at his best, I would have loved to play goalie for Johnny.
Nice.
I know legendary Mike Green had that luxury and privilege. I believe they've won a world title over it, or open doubles title. Playing. So yeah, I think Johnny would probably be the one guy I would have loved to have had a chance to play goalie for in an open doubles tournament for sure.
Very cool. Adam,
Scott, I got a question from a listener. Somebody, Mike Green. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's wondering if you jumping the nets like that might parallel what spending time with Todd and what happened to Todd's career when he went back in the nets.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, for sure. I was never at the level of Todd, but yeah, definitely. I mean, anything's possible. Like I said, when I'm playing, when I get to play with the best forwards in today's football, so it definitely makes it a little easier for sure. But I'm intrigued with the goalie. I was never a goalie, so I like learning and studying and learn. Just seeing the different. I'm watching tapes and watching the YouTube videos of other goalies, and so it definitely changes things. You have to study your opponents a little different.
Right.
Sure.
So, what's on the docket for you this year, tournament-wise, player-wise, that you feel like letting us know about?
Well, unfortunately, I retired as a police officer June of last year, but I purchased a restaurant, so I kind of try to stay busy with that. Right now, probably the only two tournaments I see on my horizon is going to be the Florida State, which is always, with the past few years, have been a huge turnout, and of course, I always make it a point to go to the Worlds, the Tornado World Championships.
Well, so follow up. What is the restaurant called? What is this? I'm excited to hear this. I love food. I love talking about it.
Well, if you love steak, you got to come to when you come.
Yes.
Well, there you go. If you guys have the chance of coming down to Florida State Championships, come a few days early. It's been kind of last few years. It's kind of been a tradition. We invite people to come a few days early, and I take everyone out to Clearwater Beach, and we hit a couple of bars and restaurants out there. This will be the first year that I've actually owned a restaurant out there. But I try to show people a good time here in Florida and what we have to offer. People have families, and other lives, and I always like, hey, make a vacation out of it. Just don't play football like what I did with Costa Rica. I made a vacation out of it. So like I remember one group. It was not last year, the year before. I got them to meet all of them at Hulk Hogan. I kind of periodically see Hulk Hogan quite a bit.
Cool.
So yeah, there was a group that came for Florida State, and we took out to Clearwater Beach, and I said, well, let me see if Hogan's in, and they all got to meet Hulk Hogan, get their pictures taken with him and stuff like that.
Oh,
wow!
so
Way to drop a name. Well done, Scott.
Yeah, right.
Well done.
Yeah. But just one quick last thing. I'm sorry, Jim. So this is your restaurant is called Blinkers Beachside. Am I correct here?
Yeah,
you have
Blinkers Beachside Steakhouse. Yeah.
You have a cold water lobster tail with the yuzu herb butter. Oh my gosh. I'm flying over there right now. That sounds so good.
It melts in your mouth. That's Billy gets that. That's an add-on Billy gets all the time.
That's grouper.
Your
Parmesan grouper. The chef makes
it.
That's
Billy's choice is he gets the filet with a lobster add-on.
Scott, we have a special guest on the line here. I think you might know who he is. He goes by the name Blake. Blake, are you with us on FoosTalk Live?
Scotty too hotty. Parmesan grouper. I'm telling you, it's not on the menu. It's at Blinkers. One guy makes it. It's the best dish I've ever had in my entire life.
Ooh, there's an endorsement.
Wow. I'm just saying. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm just saying.
Parmesan grouper. Man, how do we decide here?
Right?
Is it the surf and turf, or is it the grouper?
Oh, you got to come 2 nights in a row. Come 2 nights in a row.
Cool. Yeah, lunch too, maybe.
Listen, if it's not on the menu, that's what
we have here in Florida, guys. We have great foosball, and I kind of tell the guys, like, listen, life is short, and I look at foosball as the appetizer that brought us together. But you know what the main course is?
You know what the main course? They don't know the main course.
The main course. And we all have such a great time together off the table, and I think the foosball community here is kind of we are very unique when it comes to that. There's a lot of we all care about each other. We all have a great time together, and that's us off the table. On the table is a whole other ball game.
Yeah,
but we all.
At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's all about, the memories and the time you spend, with another person, the connection. Now, when we share foosball, yeah, that's cool. We have a hobby. We love each other. But, when you can go out and you can have fun and you can connect to levels and levels in heaven and heaven and heaven, and everything is good and everything's happy and everything's positive, and you don't ever want it to end. That's the main course. That's what we do here in Florida. We treat everybody like that. We're very genuine. Scott O'Hare, there's Hulk Hogan, there's Scott O'Hare, there's Clearwater Beach, there's Blinkers. Anybody that ever wants to come to Florida, Clearwater, you're in the area, just hit us up, send a message. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And if you are disappointed, I'm going to make it up. I promise. We'll figure it out. It don't matter.
You are. Just don't say so.
Hey, Blake, just make sure you don't watch the whites with the colors. I
hate laundry. I cannot stand laundry.
Blake, talk a little bit about playing with Scott.
Yes.
In Costa Rica last week. Talk a little bit about your experience there, how you guys did, etc.
Okay. All right. Well, I've played with Scott before. Me and him played a couple of tournaments. I love playing with some of my best friends. It just makes the whole experience better. You wake up, you enjoy the company, and vibes are there. The company's good and the energy's good. And at the end of the day, that's all I care about. Foosball is fun. I love playing foosball. Playing with Scott, Costa Rica. Costa Rica has its own variables separate from my partner. But, Scott's got a great 2-bar. He shoots very well, very old school player, kind of has like a Bobby Diaz kind of mindset, bar player, have fun, just like me. And I vibe with that. And we did good. We got all the way to the finals, played Tony and Jerry Todd. Won the first game, stole the first game from him, and then we were feeling good. And Tony did some Tony things, and we got to 5th game, and it was a good match. I could have played maybe a little better. I think I had a shot on the first ball in the 5th game to take the momentum and the advantage. And for the people out there, when you get to a certain level, you understand that every ball and value of possession is so important, especially when you get down to the last game. You don't ever want to think back and be like, oh, shoot, I should have done this or that, this and that. No, you live in the moment. You do what winners do. You take advantage of that. And I had a shot to go up 1-0 and maybe could have forced overtime or take it to the second set. But at the end of the day, I just enjoyed being in Costa Rica. I enjoyed the people there. I love playing with Scott. I think Scott's one of the the greatest, one of my best friends. And I would introduce anybody to Scott. Scott's so openly and genuine and happy and positive. He's my people, and I play with him anytime he wants to.
Yeah, and you would say that even if he didn't own a really good restaurant. I know. But thank you guys. We've really enjoyed hanging out with Scott and then getting Blake on board as well. That's kind of a bonus. But we appreciate you guys coming on with us tonight. I know Adam and Tom probably have a couple more questions, but
I'm actually at the bar right now with V. I'm in the bathroom.
You're at the bar right now?
I'm at dinner right now. I'm having duck wings. I got a drink.
I got a good old-fashioned Tom Your Flush right now.
If you guys haven't gone to Costa Rica for the next year, you got to make the tournament next year. Cool. It is probably one of the most fun tournaments I've ever been to. And the Costa Rican players, they're so happy that, and they come up to you, they ask for advice. They actually ask you advice on how their game is. They want to know how their game is. And
that's great.
Nice.
And just to tell you, there is obviously just to tell you a little history or background on what went into running this tournament with Carlos. They don't have the logistics like we have. They don't have the luxuries of pulling brand new tables and running.
They don't.
They went to people's houses and they grabbed tables from all over Costa Rica and loaded them up in a box truck.
It felt like I was in. It felt like I was in Spain when I had kids running up to me wanting to be like, "Oh, take pictures," because they're not used to coming to the States and seeing the talent and the people that they watch on the internet, and now they get to see them in person. And so the energy is so high. And when you feel and see that high energy, it puts a smile on your face. It's just nice to see that. And they're very welcoming. The people was nice, very genuine, homegrown people. And if you've never been there, it's a resort, it's a vacation. Take some extra time. Carlos does an excellent job. I really hope maybe next year they put the tables in the tournament inside an air conditioner room. But
I knew it.
That was the hardest part in that game.
I knew there was no air conditioning.
And you're from the
south.
It was an open air event. Yeah, definitely.
I love it.
Right.
I got to go, guys.
What are they, Blake? Remember, they're Pura Vida.
Pura vida, pure life,
pure life. Sí, señor.
Pura vida.
They're just happy. They're just so happy, and they're wonderful people. I had a great experience. They're coming up, asking us to sign their T-shirts. It was a great experience.
It is definitely on my bucket list. At some point, I want to make sure I get down to at least to hang out, maybe do a little commentary, etc. But certainly on my bucket list. I want to come, and I know they'd love to have us.
Jim, I'm right behind you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you got my airline,
oh
we'll
man,
go.
but at least a week. You got to spend at least a week down there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, at minimum. I even
Yeah.
told a guy, I was like, listen, we got to go 2 weeks next time because
You
almost
got
after
to
the
go to the
tournament,
beach. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, there's so much that country has to offer. So much nature to see, waterfalls, volcanoes, the beaches. I mean, it's just amazing. The culture down there is just it's amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well,
I feel like I'm there. Thanks.
Yeah, right.
And it's really not that humid here in Colorado, but I sort of starting to feel the humidity and the heat, and the beach and the cloud forest and the volcanoes.
Right.
Maybe next year.
Right. Yeah. That sounds like a plan for sure. Well, Scott, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show tonight, and thank you so much for bringing us virtually to Costa Rica with you.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And by the way,
I hope you guys get a chance. I mean, plan on coming to the Florida States in April. That would be I'm telling you, if you come a few days early, I'm going to show you guys a great time.
Cool. Well, that sounds like an invitation right there. And
thank you, man.
Yeah. Thank you for being on. And also thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, thanks. You guys are welcome. Thank you very much.
You bet. Well, Scott O'Hare, once again on FoosTalk Live for the very first time.
What you gonna do when they come?
Is that Jim singing again? Oh, man. I tell you. So, yeah, we are certainly talking about tournaments to the left of us, to the right of us, and right down the middle. There's all kinds of things going on. And we do want to certainly let you know that next weekend, I know that, Adam is on the road. He's heading to Portland, Oregon, and he's going to be at Moneyball. And at Moneyball, there's quite a team there. These guys have been doing this for quite some time. We have Kobe Cam from Moneyball who's on the line with us. Kobe, can you hear us?
How you doing, guys?
What's happening?
Hey, Kobe.
Hey, Jim, Adam, everyone else on here. Thanks for having me on board.
Here.
Yeah, even though I don't own any restaurants, hope you guys can still hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
yeah, no, it's going to be a great, we're expecting a great turnout, and hoping everyone can make it up here.
Yeah.
And Blake, if you're listening, we've got AC here, even though I don't think it'll be required.
May not need it.
Yeah, right.
Well, I know, personally, I've had the honor of coming up and working the last few events up there, the last few Moneyball tournaments. In fact, it was, I guess in 2020, it was the last tournament that I worked. And then in 2021, it was the next. It was like 2 straight Moneyballs. And I have just had such a great time up there. Unfortunately, this year, just not able to make it. But what a great event you guys run up there. Such tradition, such history, the way you go about it, the Moneyball part of the event. And if you aren't already making plans to go up there, please do, because this is one of the best events in America. And thankfully, Adam is going to be up there representing Inside Foos and doing what he does and doing such a great job. But talk a little bit about the history of this event and maybe the vision of the future of what Moneyball is all about, Kopi.
Well, first off, before I begin, is Don Caesar online? Do you know? Is he?
We haven't seen
on
him
board
yet. Yeah, I haven't seen him step in.
Okay. Well, this for those who haven't been made aware, it's 2022 Moneyball. In fact, we're kind of at a loss. Like, okay, well, what do we call it? Once you get to Moneyball 10, it's like, well, what do we go from here? But it's it's pretty much Moneyball 11, essentially. The history going way back, 11 years ago. It started off on a small scale and just quickly escalated to what we again are proud to really accomplish to this level that really turn out well. So I guess one of the things that, again, as I mentioned before, just what separates us, or at least has at the time when we first brought it on board, was the actual Moneyball event in itself. That just I guess the magnitude, the size, at that point when we first brought it on board, of course, not too many tournaments out there, not too many players that enter tournaments like that. We're prepared to, throw in $100 in a fee. So that kind of started having kind of a tradition of its own, and eventually grew. The popularity kind of grew, and then again, every time we bring up Moneyball, it's like that's the first thing that stands out to a lot of players, especially the really, really serious players. That I feel that in itself helps attract players from abroad, be it from all the way from Florida or Canada or what have you. So, but I would say that's probably the one thing that we can kind of make it our own, and in bringing out players and having some form of notoriety, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely, Kopi. A quick question for you: could you let the audience know, like they know the tournament's called Moneyball, and you just talked about the event, but what are the specifics? You said it's $100 to enter. Is that per team, per person, and what are the payouts? What's that looking like?
Well, that's we usually pay out 3 places in that Moneyball event, and it's $100 per player. One of the things we've done a little bit differently, a couple of years ago, we introduced, just because $100 again, while a lot of people are really enthusiastic about it and want to play that, but not everyone is willing to throw that, just roll the dice and chance on it. So we try to make it, we try to ease that transition a little bit. We did $50 per. According to ranking, the amateur ranks would be $50 now. But we kind of went back to the drawing board again, and we just figured, we don't want to go back. We don't want to kind of defeat the whole purpose. Ultimately, the whole Moneyball aspect, the whole $100 was for, like the bigger players to try to attract bigger players, and everyone else that just want to just kind of blend in with that. But so yeah, $100 per player. Again, 3 ways, and it's 100% payout. And again, we don't know what the turnout's going to be. We're very hopeful that it's going to be at an all-time high. So, I mean, when you have guys like Tony and Maris coming out, that kind of drives the enthusiasm even more abroad. And so once people get wind of that, a lot more people are inclined to come, and from that it kind of builds. So we're just really, really hopeful that this would be the year where that number is really going to increase, not only for just the tournament and overall, but just that particular Moneyball event. I think that's going to draw a lot of attention this year.
Now, when it comes to foosball in the great the Northwest, I mean, Moneyball is really the thing that's put that part of the country on the map when it comes to foosball, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And you guys mentioned a lot about the history, the predating the Moneyball. I wish I can touch on that, but I'm 52. I just turned 52. I don't have a whole lot of history to share with you on that, but a lot of those names that you guys mentioned, I just heard of. I can't really, touch and elaborate on that. But speaking of which, I just wanted to say this: that you guys had mentioned earlier on the broadcast that you guys were kind of casting your own votes and of all the candidates for Hall of Famers. Well, I just want to say that I think that, and while Jim, you're already a Hall of Famer, I think you ought to be re-nominated for the work that you do. So, but everybody else on board in that broadcasting field, I think you guys should definitely be considered for that, regardless of how you are on the table. I think that the work that you guys do, that really has a positive impact in the whole foosball world. So,
wow.
Thank you,
Kopi.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you can't see me, but I'm blushing.
Yeah, and Kopi, the check's in the mail. Okay. Wow. Very nice.
But Jim, we're sad that you're not going to be coming up this year, but we're definitely.
Me too. Yeah. I love your event. It's one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but we're definitely looking forward to anyone who can attend, and I appreciate that you guys are being a part of this, however you are. I mean, be it you're not here, you can still, I think your voice, no matter where you're at, I think has a really positive impact on our tournament. So I appreciate that.
And by the way, FoosTalk Live next weekend is going to be going to Adam Live there at Moneyball. So we'll certainly get a chance to hear how things are going, getting an update.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, Kopi, I've made myself, even though I'm a Southern California foosball player, I have made myself the adopted son of the Pacific Northwest foosball group. And I've been telling, I tell people this all the time. Like, this is one of my favorite things. One of my favorite bar tournaments in the world is oh my gosh, I can't remember, home turf, right? I love going to the tournaments there. And I think for me, beyond anything else, I mean, I like the format of Moneyball. I like everything else that goes on there, but the player base is one of the most laid back, funnest player bases. For me, it's worth the trip because it's just so much fun to just go hang out when you're not playing foosball and just get to know all these folks. You know what I mean, Kopi?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's quite a bit of history in that. You know, now we've got it there like every Thursday and Saturday night. But you know, every so often, people like again, I'm 52, and I wish I can dig deeper in there and kind of just reminisce with that era. But a lot of people, you know, just Jack Lenty, for example, just showed up the other day, and he touched on that history. And you know, sometimes there's people, you know, that just pop in there. Again, Jack was there, and he touched on a lot of interesting history, a lot of good players that I didn't know that they were a part of. So, you know, and then he's going way back. We're talking where foosball, I think Gemini Pub is one of them. I don't know if that rings a bell to anybody on board here, but yeah. It's just an exciting history there.
Yeah, Jack, one of those guys. You know, there's a few other, Rich Fosner, another one, guys that have been around for a long time and have had some great success. You know, maybe not going back to the 70s, but that next era for sure. And you know, you keep saying you're 51 years old, and as if it's young.
I'm getting younger. I'm 52. I must be getting younger.
You're aging.
One of the neat things about Moneyball is that the senior event is usually the biggest event of the weekend. But it's a lot of fun always to come up there. And again, I'm sad. I'm literally sad that I can't make it up this year, but maybe next year, as I know you guys will continue to do just some great work up there in the Pacific Northwest. And thank you, Kopi, for what you do, and thanks for coming on tonight.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you all, everyone else who's been a part of this broadcasting event. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you guys here.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to join us, and best of luck for next weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Kopi, bye-bye.
Kopi Cam from the great Northwest. And, of course, Moneyball next weekend. Adam Gilson on the site, going to be there. And he'll be giving us a quick update or two as we convene with FoosTalk Live next weekend. So tune in for that, of course.
And they have good IPAs up there as well. The Northwest IPAs are really good, Adam. Make sure you enjoy a few of those.
One of my favorite breweries.
Well. Oh, and then which one is that?
Yep.
Fremont Brewery.
Oh, Fremont. Ooh. I think I've heard of that, actually. Fremont Brewery.
From Elysian does some nice work.
Elysian,
Space Dust
up there.
Oh, yeah. Space Dust is the best. Absolutely. Well, guys, I know, again, tournaments are all over the place. I mean, last weekend.
Are we moving again? Are we moving around again?
We're going across the country here, guys.
We're traveling the map. We've been to Florida. We've been to Costa Rica. And now we've been up to Portland, Oregon. And where are we going next, Tom?
Well, we're going to, first of all, Columbus, Ohio, and then Wisconsin, which, by the way, is still happening. But we have Michael Stahl Jr., who's globetrotting, it seems, all over the Midwest. Michael, are you with us?
Yo, what up, FoosTalk Live? I got 99 problems, and finding a regional tournament is not one of them.
I guess not. So, congratulations.
How do you get all that? How do you get all that time off, Michael? Well done.
I work pretty damn hard, and I guess I'm just lucky.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your open singles win at the Arnold last weekend in Columbus.
Yeah, from what I hear, though, Michael won the tournament and won the prize money, but then lost it in an arm wrestling match with Arnold Schwarzenegger immediately afterwards, from what I heard. I don't know. Maybe it's just a
That's confirmed on TikTok.
I actually can't say if it's true or not.
No? Okay. All right. Mum's the word.
I can't confirm or deny that. and it's mostly due to embarrassment.
Oh, understood.
No, but it was awesome. Those guys in Columbus, they really do it the right way. Mark Vanetti, Steve Biney, Captain Tim Literal. They do a really great tournament down there in Columbus. They cap it out, I think, at like 32 teams because of the software and no internet. But it's a phenomenal event. You got 250,000 people walking through the halls at the convention center.
Really?
I'm grabbing people to come in to watch and spectate, trying to be a showman, and that's kind of been the story this weekend too.
Yeah. So Columbus, Ohio. Now, when it comes to the competition there, now who are you playing with, and who are you playing against of note there?
So I took 5th in doubles. I actually had a really bad cold. I was really sick, and I just toughed it out, I guess. Ended up beating Fuad Trower in the finals of open singles.
Nice.
Beat him for king seat and beat him in the final. It was all Michigan boys in the top 3. Gary Cherhart at 3rd. Of course, Fuad took 2nd, and I took home the title.
That's awesome, Matt. Congratulations on that.
It was a good one, man.
Yeah, where are you this week?
So this weekend it's Sunday night at the 2022 Wisconsin State Championships here in Appleton at the Mad Apple. Teddy Kruger and Brett Nguyen and the gang, they run an absolutely phenomenal tournament.
Cool.
They're my big bros out here. I've taken a lot of notes from my own event, and look up to these guys a lot.
Now, I understand that you're in open singles and in doubles. I know that earlier I looked at the brackets. You were about to play Tommy Atkinson. How'd that go?
That was a barn burner, man. It was 8-7 in the 5th, and it's probably the best foosball I've ever played, and I still lost.
Oh, ouch. But, I mean, Tommy Atkinson, I'd rather lose to him than, the rest of the room.
I'm actually proud of this, man. Like, he had me down 2-0. I came all the way back, and I started hollering. I started getting loud. He started getting loud back.
Cool.
And we both loved it, man. It was really great. I challenged him. He challenged me. You can ask anyone in that room. That was probably the best match of the weekend. And there was a huge crowd watching it. I stepped up, and I will continue to step up because I have everything that I need to be a top player. I just need to get there.
You're on the way.
I'd agree with that, Michael. So
I say that with. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
I say that with the absolute most gratitude and the most respect.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think there's anybody here that would question your humbleness, humility, whatever. You know the words. I just want to take a step. I want to take a step back to last week to the Arnold, because to me that's a curiosity. The Arnold. It's weird. You said there was 150, 200,000 people walking around there. I know it's not a foosball tournament, but there's a part of it is the foosball tournament. And I know that this thing happens in a lot of different parts of the world, this thing called the Arnold, which is obviously associated with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But to me, this feels like a huge, an amazing nexus for outreach for foosball, even though the tournament's capped at X amount of players. I'm just curious, like, what is actually happening at this thing?
I guess you got to be more specific with your question there, Adam.
What is the Arnold?
Right. So the Arnold is a competition. I think it's over 100 different competitions: weightlifting, arm wrestling, American Ninja Warrior. I played a match against the host from American Ninja Warrior. It was amazing, dude. It's one of my favorite tournaments. I think it's something that we need to do. We need to jump in and help. I don't know what we can do to help those guys, but we need to get more cameras down there. We need to get more people down there. We need to blow it up, because this is an opportunity, and to be honest, we've squandered it, and we need to get more people there and make it bigger and better and help those guys out, honestly.
Cool. And this is something that Arnold Schwarzenegger certainly supported in the very beginning. It's got his name on it. And I guess I understand there's as many as 30,000 athletes that show up?
Yeah, there's quite a bit. And being able to call yourself one of them is an honor.
Yeah.
It's something else, man. It really is. It's a beautiful thing, what they do down there in Columbus. It's great for the sport and stuff like that. I love getting behind, and I'm going to be more involved with them. And that's kind of what I was referring to when I'm saying we need to all band together and help with that event.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow. I think it's $4,000 for internet there, and that's why they cap it off so they can use like NetFoos or whatever it is, whatever the software is that they actually, maybe it's Kicker Tool. I have no idea.
Okay.
But they use a certain software that doesn't rely on the internet, and they're just trying to make it happen. And every year it gets better and better, and those guys do a great job. I mean, hats off to those guys.
And is it Swiss system, or is it just double elimination?
So I was actually talking to Captain, and I was saying, dude, why don't you run this Swiss style?
Yes.
I mean, games to 10, better for spectation.
Yep.
We can find a way to funnel people into the room, maybe incentivize the spectation of it. I don't know, just different ways to get people involved. I wasn't feeling that well last week, and so I didn't do it as much as I did the first and second year I went.
Sure.
Because I went the first year and won open dubs. Ended up taking down Steve Biney
Nice.
in that tournament, and I was grabbing just random people, and I'm like, hey, do you want to see something cool? And I'd get like a crowd of like 2 people, and then it turned into like 6 people, and then that turned into 20. I had like these super just muscly bound dudes coming in cheering for me. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, again, like you said, Adam, it's all a little weird. And Steve Biney, of course, a top 5 all-time foosball playing cop, no doubt about it. But you know, Steve of course, so influential there in the Columbus area. Michael, you're getting around a lot. You're in Wisconsin, you're in Ohio, of course. We know you're from Michigan, and of course, you kind of run the show there. You know, you're a player, right? And I think we've talked about this before. You're a player who is also a promoter. You know, someone who is pushing the sport forward as much as you can while also trying to play. And even last week, you're apparently a bit ill. How difficult is it to be a player, a promoter, to have the focus of trying to, you know, contribute to the sport's future? How, you know, it's a big role. It's a big thing you're taking on. How difficult can that be?
Listen, Jim, if it takes me 10 years to be a top player while I'm promoting, I'm still going to do it. If it might take me 1 year to be a top 5 guy, or I'm already a top 10 guy. I've had top 10 finishes everywhere. I had a top 5 in open singles this weekend. I was 1 point away from potentially playing and maybe having a chance to get to the final, you know, and it's incredibly difficult. It really is, but I would not do it any other way. I just wouldn't. And let me first say this before we move on. Congratulations to Steve Biney this year, man.
Yeah.
He took down open doubles. The dude's a class act. He's a phenomenal player. He's someone I look up to in the Midwest. And you really deserve that title, Steve.
Nicely said. Nicely said. So what's up for Michigan State's? What's on the docket? Can you tell us anything about when it's going to happen?
Oh boy, I've been working hard on this one, fellas.
Cool.
So first weekend of October, we're looking for a venue right now. I just went and met with 3 different hotels last week, and it's been real busy in Michigan. We're trying to do what we can to get this venue solidified real soon and get the venue or the flyer out at least 6 months before the tournament. You know how it goes. You got to have it out at least 6 months before. But yeah, just stay tuned. We're looking at the first weekend of October. That's going to be September 30th, October 1st and 2nd.
Cool.
Super singles for the main event. It's going to be a 10 grander. Yeah, I'm really excited to keep promoting and doing my part in Michigan. And yeah, I'm just happy to be able to do this stuff.
So mark your calendar.
Well, as we've said before, we need more people like Michael Stahl, you know, with that kind of energy, that kind of love of the sport, who are willing to put it out there and try to push it forward. So, Michael, thanks for being you. Thanks for doing what you're doing, and continue to focus on playing the game, because I think you, as Adam said earlier, you have all the tools to be a great player, and you're headed in that direction. So, thanks for everything, buddy.
No, thank you guys, man. You guys hold it up. You guys are the real MVPs. Appreciate everything you guys do at FoosTalk Live. I look forward to listening to you guys all the time. I got an hour drive to work, so I definitely utilize that time listening to you guys.
And you have you've also been an honored guest host in the past here at FoosTalk Live, which is going to continue to be the case whenever you'd like.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I'll definitely hop on anytime.
Cool.
It's always a pleasure.
And
thank you guys.
What is the next tournament for you? Where are you headed out to next?
I'm gonna take a little bit of time off, but I'm looking at the Bonzini U.S. Nationals.
Really?
I just got a Leonhardt. Oh yeah. I'm globetrotting, baby. I'm excited, man. I'm looking at the Bonzini U.S. Nationals. It's supposed to be in Winston-Salem.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be looking at the U.S. Nationals, of course, the World Championships in Michigan to cap off the year.
Very
cool. No
very
Vegas
exciting.
for you. No Vegas for you this year.
Yeah, I'm not gonna push Vegas. That's the girlfriend's birthday weekend, and gentlemen, you have to respect that.
Oh, life sets in. Life sets in, even to the top players, man. Sometimes it just happens, right?
Hey, yeah, you know how it goes, man.
I do.
But yeah, like I said, I'm just happy to be able to be as fortunate as I am to go to these events. Win or lose, I win when I show up because I'm there, you know?
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing you at a tournament soon and get a chance to maybe hang out and maybe play a little foosball.
Oh yeah, I'm about to be playing some 2-ball tonight. I'm real stoked about it. So I'm happy to be here in Wisconsin, and I look forward to hearing from FoosTalk Live the rest of the episode.
Yeah, and for sure. And even in 2-ball, rollerball, you want to take it one ball at a time.
Right.
Oh,
Michael, one more thing. What happened in the open doubles finals tonight in Wisconsin?
Oh man, I didn't even give you guys a rundown.
Yeah.
I got to be the inside Foos reporter here. So, yeah, open doubles was classic, man. It was a classic final between Paul Smith and Eric Hildner. They played some really high quality foosball, but to no avail. The Spredemans, they came through and did their thing.
Oh, Tony and Bud.
Yep, Tony and Bud.
Nice.
They came through and won open doubles.
Very cool. And Tony just got back from Costa Rica, for goodness sake.
Yeah, I mean, he's a class act. It was really cool to watch him be inducted, dude. I almost teared up. Like, his speech was super genuine, and look up to that dude a lot.
Right.
Like a lot of us do.
Yeah,
I think, sorry to interrupt, I think Zach and I left the room when Tommy had just beaten Zach, the Hoffmaster, Zach Hofer or Hofer. I think it's Hofer.
I think it's
this
Hofer.
Dude, is it Hofer? Yeah, I mean, he comes out of the woodwork, out of nowhere, doing like dead bar push shots. Like,
really good player. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he beat me in 5 games. Him and Tommy were the 2 guys that took me out in open, and you can't be that upset losing to guys like that. But yeah, Zach's a really good player, and he's well on his way. Very unusual. It's like if Shaw had a son. I don't know. It's like Cody Byrie and Justin Shaw had a baby, and it was Zach.
I can't even picture that.
I'm not going there. Don't go there. Just don't go there.
It's called Foosball.
I went there, Jim. I went there.
Just on the table, what would that look like?
I'm sorry, Jim.
Apparently,
Hofer's a heck of a player, no doubt about it. He's a guy we kind of have avoided talking about for some reason. Maybe he hasn't been on our radar, but another really, really good young player.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, for sure. You guys are sleeping on Zach. He's well on his way, and all the respect to him. And I think they're going to be playing. They're probably already playing the open singles final right now.
Well, get in there, dude.
Versus Tony. Yeah, I've been commentating all night, man. I've been stepping my game up. So
nice.
Good job, bud.
We appreciate that.
Trying to make you proud, Jim.
Oh yeah, and you always do, buddy. Thank you, man. And thanks for joining us tonight. I look forward to running into you again down the road here. But thanks for what you do. Keep up the good work, and it's great chatting with you.
Always a good time, guys. Thanks again.
All right, Michael. It's great catching up, and thanks again for joining us on FoosTalk Live.
Cheers, gentlemen.
See you, bud.
Well, there you have it, guys. I mean, there's just tournaments everywhere. They're just like
we're all over the map tonight, Tom Robinson.
Right?
We really are.
They're like weeds. They're sprouting up everywhere. And this is what it's all about now that we're finally getting back to this idea of competitive foosball in all parts of the world. Tonight, of course, you'll be hearing the latest greatest when it comes to our FoosTalk Live Foosbeat, when it comes to what's happening in tournaments in the near future. So stick around for that. But in the very near future, I just want to give you guys a quick clue. When it comes to tournaments here in the Northeast, we're about to make a special announcement when it comes to our next quote-unquote smashdown in the Albany area. And, well, I'll say nothing more until I have the solid details and we have the flyer out. But I think you'll be interested to hear what the format's going to be like.
I'm excited.
Thunderdome.
Does that rhyme with Mistum?
Something like that. Something to that effect.
No, that's great to hear. And, I've heard it a lot ever since the Thunderdome event. Players have really embraced the idea of not only Swiss system, but that kind of format, that kind of approach to the game. Still, the players that competed, people who watched the event are still talking about how exciting it was and how maybe it has revolutionized the sport here in America.
Oh, yeah. I love the fact, too, when it comes to the various tournaments that are using this system, it's completely customizable. So you can do whatever you'd like, do a points race or not a points race, or you can just, bring in a certain number of players and get as long as you have a certain number of tables, everybody's going to be playing at all times. I mean, there's all kinds of positives when it comes to this idea. By the way, what are the negatives? Anybody, Jim, Adam, you want to chime in on those? Clay?
Tournaments end too soon. We want to play till, and these tournaments end at like 10 o'clock at night. How are we supposed to go all night without sleep playing foosball?
Oh, wait.
Monday morning.
That's why they make IPAs.
Format. It just ticks me off.
I woke up, I slept in, and I was scared, and then I woke up, and then I had lunch. I had nothing to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
What am I supposed to do?
No.
It doesn't start till 3.
What are we trying to find negatives of here?
No, the negatives for the Swiss or Thunderdome system, of course.
If anybody can find a negative, it's Clay.
Yes, Clay, please chime in.
What the hell does that mean?
We all know what that means.
I am one of the most positive people that I know in this room.
Positive people.
Wait a minute.
Yes,
there are. You can screw up anything. I mean, you can mess anything up if you try hard enough to make it better. Yeah, just think on that for a minute. You can. I didn't go to Thunderdome, but everybody there seemed pleased with it, so I can't say anything about that. Sometimes the Swiss involves a race to 7, which I'm not a fan of. I think it's not fun.
Well, you can make it race to 10 if you want.
Yeah, only in the qualifying. Sometimes it does. You're right,
yeah,
but it's hard.
I think race to 7 is the worst way to play foosball.
A lot of people want to try to find holes in the Swiss, and it's just not that easy to do.
That is a cheesy joke, Jim. That is a cheesy joke.
That's not Gouda at all,
man.
No, we need to close this Jim, joint down.
No, I camembert that.
Well,
well done.
Smelly cheese tastes the best anyway, so that's fine.
I don't get paid enough cheddar. This trash.
How about none at all?
That's anti-American.
Hey, you know what? So am I.
That was a good one, Jim.
Wait, no.
Let's get out of here.
Hey, can I propose a drinking game for next week?
A drinking game.
Cool. Take a shot or a drink every time Jim either says, "Let's get the show back on the rails, please," or when he tries to end 8 minutes before our 2 hours is up.
Oh,
right.
We'll all be hammered by the end of the night.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, we could go right up till the end here if we want to. We could just have some inane dialogue, just go back and forth with things, or we could end it in a
interesting that you don't need inane dialogue. You can make your cheesy jokes with holes in them, and this is entertaining.
Now, hold on.
Promise you.
Clay,
as a fan,
Clay, I just want you to I want you to understand something here. This is not Jim speaking; it's his bladder. Okay.
I got to pee more than all y'all combined. I've had.
I will spend the last 5 minutes honestly answering direct questions from you guys. Here we
go. Go.
All right. I think. What do you think about? What's a good question, Adam?
Well, I think a good question is if foosball is going to survive going forward on the international level, like World Cup, are we doing what we need to be doing on the regional, the state level, the country level?
Yes and no. We are, certainly qualifying players to compete, but those players, for the most part, especially for our national team, are 48 to 55 years old, and in some cases even older. We need to be developing younger players, and we need to coordinate with the ITSF in order to do a lot of that, because they really are focused on developing younger players. And we need to do that if we're going to continue, because at some point here, we're not going to have a World Cup team, or if we do, it's going to be top heavy with maybe 5 or 6 players who maybe aren't necessarily of the quality that we need. So we need to continue to develop players and work in conjunction with the ITSF in doing so. Next.
Okay. Latte or espresso?
I'm an espresso guy. I like to get it and just shoot it and go with it and make it, all of that. I'm not going to mess with all the rest of that foam and everything else. I'm an espresso guy.
I dig it.
Waffle House or IHOP?
IHOP for the most part. Waffle House, I've had 1 good experience and 9 bad. It's about 5 and 5 for IHOPs.
I was the one experience.
That's right. We
Actually,
were at Waffle House.
You are the one.
In
You
Kentucky.
and Tom and I had
that.
in Lexington, Kentucky. We had a breakfast at Waffle House, and it was actually quite good.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And
That's
our
the one.
server was great as well.
She
She was hilarious.
Even though she left before we did.
That was actually a great morning. It was actually
really
a really
was. That was
great
the
breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never
Adam?
had great mornings. Oh, best fast food French fries.
That's fast food. French fries. I mean, it's hard not to
1,
go
2,
with
3.
McDonald's.
1, 2, 3.
But I actually like In-N-Out.
In-N-Out.
That's your number 1.
That's the
Okay.
hot take right there.
Yeah.
Oof, you
I'm
just lost
with Jim on that.
Texas.
In-N-Out for sure. In-N-Out.
I do.
It's one of the few
In-N-Out's
things
good.
Texas and Oklahoma agrees on is In-N-Out fries are trash.
Oh, wow. That's something you agree on. Amazing.
Wow.
What do you
Well,
think?
I
Clay,
mean-
quick question for you. Is there anybody in Oklahoma you like besides Tommy Atkinson?
There are so many people in Oklahoma that I like, and I don't want to make any of them jealous by naming names. Can we do a bottom 5 next week instead of a top 5? And I can just
Absolutely.
name my
Let's
bottom
do it.
5.
We're on.
Dude, I love Oklahoma is like my little stepbrother that I wish my parent never met their parent.
Wow.
Wow. See, when you let Clay in, this is what happens.
Wow.
I warned
I
you
feel
guys.
offended. Why do I feel offended?
I wish y'all could see Jim turning red right now.
Oh, that's my
It was
favorite.
actually that's almost a John Wayne purple
Oh,
shirt
yeah,
right?
stuff.
color.
Are we still
red.
on the air? Tom,
We are.
Yeah,
get
well,
this thing back on the rails.
There we go.
Before
Take a
we
drink.
go,
Do a shot.
Before we go, and this is all of you guys have to answer this one. Tidy whities or boxer briefs?
Commando.
Commando. I knew somebody would say that. Jim?
Because
I used to be a boxer guy. I turned into a boxer brief guy.
boxer
Yeah.
briefs. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Adam?
Iceberg lettuce.
Adam is the funniest dude in foosball. I don't care, bar none.
Yes.
That's period.
Oh,
I
my
I don't.
God.
I don't disagree with that. I don't.
Romaine lettuce. Sorry.
Romaine, no.
It's just the best 5 minutes of the whole show, Jim. I'm just pointing that out.
There you
The best
go.
5 minutes.
See,
Yeah.
got a point there. Well, it has been a blast, and of course, this is what FoosTalk Live is really all about when it comes to talking about tournaments, man. I mean, what do we have?
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 tournaments we talked about tonight. So this is just the beginning.
Well, it's great. A little bit post-COVID or late COVID that we are sort of getting on track with lots of tournaments around the country and a big major championship coming up here in 3.5 weeks, which we're all looking forward to probably attending.
Oh yeah, and then of course World Cup this summer. So lots on the docket here. Well, in the meantime, guys, we'll be back together again soon. I know, Jim, you'll be off on other climbs next weekend. But,
yeah, going to take a little trip down to Arizona next week, so we'll take the week off.
Okay.
But we'll be back the following week for sure.
And Adam will be at Moneyball. And Clay, are you going to be kicking around?
I'm not doing anything. I'm going to sleep after this show, and I'm not waking up until April.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love that.
That sounds encouraging. But we will have a show next weekend regardless, and we'll get you
I'll be
some
here.
live reports. And Clay will be here as well, and we'll be
I will
giving
be
you
here.
some.
I'm going to be here for the next while.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks for tuning into FoosTalk Live. Thanks to all our guests this evening. Of course, Scott O'Hare and Kobe Cam and Michael Stahl. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this. And let's get together again here on FoosTalk Live.
Foosball tournaments are everywhere. FoosTalk Live proudly presents a weekly update of events near you with the FoosTalk Live Tournament Beat. Here's what's up. Next weekend, it's the Moneyball Northwest Foosball Tournament. That's March 17th through the 20th at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Portland, Oregon. Can't wait. It's the Battle in the Mountains $10,000 Foosball Tournament March 25th through the 27th at the Crown Plaza Hotel and Resort in Asheville, North Carolina. Next up, the Foosball Hall of Fame Classic, April 6th through the 10th at the Golden Nugget, 129 East Fremont Street, Las Vegas, Nevada. Don't miss the 2022 Oklahoma State Championships, April 22nd through the 24th. That's taking place at Magoo's 5002 South Memorial, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Coming right up, the $10,000 Florida State Championships, April 28th through May 1st at the Holiday Inn St. Petersburg North, 3535 Ulmerton Road, Clearwater, Florida. And later this summer, the 2022 ITSF World Cup and World Championships, June 28th through July 2nd in Nantes, France. Then it's the 2022 National Championship North American Cup, July 20th through July 24th at the Radisson Hotel in Aurora, Colorado. And don't forget the first annual Ozark Open, Sunday, August 15th. That's 2588 North Gregg Street, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Each week, we do our best to give you the most up-to-date listing of foosball tournaments near you. If you have an event you would like to add to our list, send us all the details at info@foosballradio.com. Tune in every week for the FoosTalk Live Foosball Beat. FoosTalk Live is a product of Inside Foos, all rights reserved. Brought to you in part by InsideFoos.com, Protectoflex, Rodlock, 518 Prince, Foosballers the Movie, the USTSO, and Foosball Clubs USA. Tune in again next week for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foosing.